Victor Fong, who is a chartered professional accountant, licensed insolvency trustee, and the president of Fong and Partners Inc. He has been recognized as one of the top 3 experts in Toronto by 3 Best Rated. In this exclusive interview, he has shared his excitement, journey, and other insights with his audience.
How does it make you feel to be listed on 3 Best Rated and called as the best in the business?
It makes me extremely proud to be listed as one of the best licensed insolvency trustees in Toronto, yet again in 2025.
Please share how 3 Best Rated helped you in your growth.
Well, 3 Best Rated is considered to be a very reputable rating service. So to be listed year after year as one of the best licensed insolvency trustees in Toronto gives my firm credibility.
What are the top 3 neighborhoods in Toronto where your clients are most concentrated?
The region of Toronto where my practice is focused is in the downtown core, which is where my office is situated. However, I also have offices throughout the Greater Toronto Area, namely in Mississauga and in Brampton.
Can you share a recent success story of a client who successfully resolved their insolvency through your services?
I have many success stories, too many to share here. If you want to read them, you could go to my Google business profile and read the reviews. Many of my former clients talk about the circumstances which led them to filing a proposal or bankruptcy with me. They tell their stories there and their successes.
How has the insolvency trend in Toronto changed over the past year?
The insolvency trend in Toronto over the past year is that there have been more filings than ever before. And the reason for this is that groceries have gone up, the cost of gas has gone up, the cost of housing has gone up, but people's incomes haven't gone up. So they're squeezed financially and they get into debt. And that's why so many have come to me for help.
What local factors contribute to Toronto's attractiveness for insolvency services?
Well, if you're in financial trouble and you live in Toronto, you have a lot of options to choose from because there are many licensed insolvency trustees that operate here.
What unique challenges have you faced in Toronto's insolvency landscape?
Well, in terms of challenges in the Toronto insolvency landscape, the biggest problem facing the licensed insolvency trustee right now are debt consultants. Debt consultants are individuals with no training and no licensing who give advice to people in financial trouble. A lot of these people work with licensed insolvency trustees, and in return for the referral to the trustee, they get paid by the debtor up to thousands of dollars, which should not be happening at all.
What strategies have led to your firm's success in Toronto?
It's interesting that you asked that question. The Government of Canada is proposing to introduce a law to make it illegal for any party to represent themselves as a licensed insolvency trustee if in fact they are not one. So any individual who does that will be fined $100,000. Any corporation that does this will be fined up to $1 million. That's a good thing.
Have there been any recent changes in insolvency laws affecting Toronto?
It's interesting that you asked that question. The Government of Canada is proposing to introduce a law to make it illegal for any party to represent themselves as a licensed insolvency trustee if in fact they are not one. So any individual who does that will be fined $100,000. Any corporation that does this will be fined up to $1 million. That's a good thing.
Can you highlight a particularly interesting case you've handled recently?
An interesting case I had recently was a bankruptcy case. A gentleman who used to be a Canadian resident but's now living in Texas in the United States owed $500,000 to the Canada Revenue Agency. He was also dying of cancer. I was able to get him discharged just before he had passed away.
What are the most common reasons clients choose Toronto over other Canadian cities for insolvency services?
Many people will choose to file with a Toronto-based firm because Toronto is the financial center of Canada. There are more firms to choose from, and all of them are very good.
How do you stay updated with the latest insolvency trends in Toronto?
Licensed insolvency trustees are required to have a minimum number of hours for professional development. So every year I attend what is called an insolvency conference to get the latest updates on insolvency trends, insolvency laws, case law, and so forth.
What peculiar news or events have impacted the insolvency industry in Toronto recently?
Well, I've been getting a lot of phone calls lately from people who are business owners who want to file their business into bankruptcy. And this is really the aftermath of the pandemic when all these businesses were shut down. They're being forced to repay back the COVID era loans to the government, and they can't pay it back because there's not enough business, especially restaurants who've taken a hit.
How do you assist clients with interprovincial insolvency issues?
If someone contacts me who's outside of the province of Ontario, which is where I'm licensed, and they're looking for help or a licensed insolvency trustee, I will refer them to colleagues of mine, other licensed insolvency trustees that operate in other provinces.
What are the key industries driving insolvency cases in Toronto?
In terms of business insolvencies, the key industry that's driving business insolvencies right now, as far as I could see, is the restaurant industry. It's very, very tough to be a restaurant owner right now.
How do you support clients in adapting to Toronto's financial environment?
When someone files a consumer proposal or a bankruptcy, they are required to study a program that's online, published by the Office of the Superintendent of Bankruptcy, called the Insolvency Counseling Program. It's basically Personal Finance 101.